The magic and mythology of Cornish Piskies. Also known as Pixies, Pixies or Piskies, Cornish Piskies are infamous mythical creatures about whom there is a mountain of folklore. Now I need to be very clear here. When they're found in Cornwall, and only in Cornwall, they are known as Piskies. When they're found elsewhere, they are known as Pixies. Why the confusion? Well, according to the folklore, Pixies can be found not only as Piskies in Cornwall, but also as Pixies in Devon and even parts of Somerset. Their territory stretches as far as Buckland St Mary, where the Pixies and fairies fought a great battle. The Pixies won and still live in the area, while the fairies had to depart. The River Parrett is said to be the boundary, even today, between the land of fairies and the land of Pixies. No one is quite sure what the word pixie or piskie means, or where the word actually comes from. There are several theories, some of which make more sense than others, but none quite fit. There is a Swedish dialect word, piska, meaning small fairy, but there's little Scandinavian influence to be found in Cornwall or its folklore. There may be a link with Puck, the mischievous sprite who is found in Celtic and Scandinavian tales, who does have some things in common with the Pixies. However, in Cornwall the Puck equivalent is a separate type of fairy known as the Bucker. The oft-quoted explanation for the word pixie or piskie is that it derives or is some vague folk memory of the Picts, who are an ancient British tribe whose language and culture is sadly mostly lost to us. The Picts, like the Celts, used to use blue woad paint to decorate their skin, and pixies are often said to have blue skin. For many years there was, and perhaps even still is, a very real belief in piskies and pixies. They're described, particularly since Victorian times, as having pointed ears, almond-shaped eyes, red hair, upturned noses and pointed hats. They're diminutive in stature, often have a wizened look, and tend to dress in natural colours, usually in shades of brown and green, as they make use of natural materials like grass, moss and leaves in their outfits. They're generally merry and mischievous rather than malevolent. They enjoy dancing, riding horses and playing pranks. They love laughing at their own antics and those of others. One old Cornish saying is, laughing like a piskie. Piskies and pixies can change their form and shape at will, often changing themselves into hedgehogs. In some of the stories, the piskies show themselves as eerie lights, rather like the will-o'-the-wisps, or can be heard as whispers or laughs on the winds. These lights or sounds may be kind enough to lead travellers safely home, or they may play tricks on the traveller, leading them astray, hence the term pixie-led. The way to avoid being pixie-led, or to break their spell, was for the traveller to turn a piece of their clothing, such as a pocket or jacket, inside out. The Piskies are said to be ruled over by a king and a queen, both of whom are associated with fire and light. Their king is Jack the Lantern, who gave his name to carved pumpkins or turnips that a light's been placed within. Their queen is Joan the Wad, and Wad is a Cornish name for the bundle of straw that's tied together and lit as a torch. Both are referred to in this old rhyme. Jack the Lantern, Joan the Wad, that tickled the maid and made her mad. Light me home, the weather's bad. Where Piskies or their monarchs are found, so too is luck and good fortune. It was considered very lucky to have the Piskies or Pixies living in your garden, on your farm or anywhere near you. Little figures of Jack, Joan and Piskies are popular good luck charms and have been for many years. An old English rhyme recorded in 1892 says, "Good fortune will nod if you carry upon you Joan the Wad." It was also well known that if you were foolish enough to upset or disrespect the Pixies or Piskies, they would withdraw their blessings of luck, and instead the person would then be plagued by terrible misfortune until they remedied the situation. A classic version of this is the tale of the servant girl Molly, who forgot to fill a bucket with water for the Pixies one night. They made her lame, but when Molly and the Pixies made their amends, the Pixies gave Molly a very special talent for dancing that she'd never had before. They can be found alone, in small groups, or even in massive clusters. At Trevose Head in Cornwall, 600 Piskies gathered for a troil, the Cornish equivalent for something like a ceilidh. Piskies also enjoy playing games and will sometimes lure children into playing games with them, spiriting them away and returning them unharmed a few days later, as the Piskies did with a young boy from St Allan who was gathering flowers when he bumped into a group of them playing in the woods, in the form of magical lights. The Piskies apparently took him to a cave and invited him to join their feast and revels, before singing him a sweet lullaby. When the boy woke up, thinking it was the very next day, it turned out 3 days had passed. Like brownies, Piskies might also be helpful to people, helping out with chores in exchange for bread and milk or cider. If they choose, Piskies could also make mischief. They might dance on the roof of a dairy, which would turn the milk bad, or dance on the roof of a house to disturb the residents. To prevent this, some houses had knobs of lead, known as pisky paws or pisky feet, nailed to the roof. Piskies can also be associated with healing. Rumour has it that the supposed healing powers of the hold stone at the Menantol standing stones near Tredenick, which people clamber through to heal all sorts of ailments, come not necessarily from the hold stone itself, but from the Pisky guardian of the stones. Anne Jeffreys of St Teith, who was a famous healer, was said to have gained her healing abilities from her befriending of the local Piskies. They lend their name to pixie locks, those knots and tangles that you find in your hair in the morning, or that were found in horses' manes after the Piskies or Pixies had ridden them in the night. Folklore ascribes to the Piskies the ability to travel great distances in the blink of an eye by simply stating where they want to go. A young man once heard a Piskie say, "I'm for Porthallow Green." He copied the voice and found himself transported to Porthallow Green with a whole clan of Piskies. Pixies and Piskies are one of the many types of Pobl Fian, or little people in Cornish. Their stories appear to be very ancient, predating Christianisation and the Roman invasion of Britain. They live in many of the ancient sites, such as stone circles, quoits and barrows, of which there are many in the southwest. Dartmoor is said to be a particular favourite. Many sites in Devon and Cornwall have names that suggest Piskie connections, such as Piskies Hall, an underground structure where the Piskies are said to have lived, Pixies Cave, a fissure on Sheep's Tor where pixies can be heard, and Pixies Parlour, a sandstone cave inhabited by pixies. So if you find yourself in the southwest of Britain, keep an eye out for those place names and places where they're still found, and remember to turn a piece of your clothing inside out so you don't get led astray. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video.